Now let's turn to that confidence motion in the government that will be heard in the Dáil today. We're joined by Labour leader Ivana Bacik and by Jennifer Carroll McNeill, Minister of State with responsibility for financial services, credit unions and insurers. Ivana, to you first, why table this motion, particularly when we had a vote last week in relation to the eviction ban?
Well, good morning, Shane, and thank you for the invitation to be on your programme. We do indeed have a motion of no confidence in government that we put down this morning for the Labour Party. The reason being that we're conscious that the government has taken a decision in lifting the eviction ban with effect from this Saturday, a decision that will have the effect of increasing homelessness, of placing individuals and families at a cliff edge risk from Saturday of being evicted from their homes and of having nowhere else to go. And our real concern is that government have taken this decision unexpectedly, because it had been anticipated they would extend the ban further for a few months, and also without making the necessary contingency plans. Now, we've put forward on a number of occasions over the last few months a series of suggested measures to government that would have ensured that there would be some contingency, some plan B for those who are being evicted through no fault of their own, no fault eviction ban, those who are being evicted and who have nowhere else to go currently. So we've put forward these measures. Most recently, I wrote to the Taoiseach on the 16th of March. I enclosed legislation we had drafted that would provide an evidence base for extending a ban until we saw a demonstrable drop over 4 months in homelessness figures. The Taoiseach didn't even respond to that. All of the measures that we've seen in the last week being cobbled together by government are last minute measures.
I want to bring in, Shane, just quickly, because I do want to bring the Minister in.
Just very briefly, last night we debated a Sinn Féin further opposition bill seeking to extend the eviction ban, and the government measures that were put up in response to that are all in the future tense. They're all saying the government will do this. It will put things. That's
Minister,
no comfort.
Minister, you're leaving people on the cliff edge, and you've no contingency plans.
Well, first of all, there's no cliff edge. This is a phased period over several months between March, April, May, June. So there's no cliff edge as such. This was a winter eviction ban that was brought in over the winter period. It was always expected that it would end, and it has to end both for legal reasons and also for supply reasons, bringing more people and trying to encourage landlords that are in the market to stay in the market. We have lost 80,000 rental tenancies over the past period from the market, and that creates further pressure in the rental market. In the last part of 2022, there was 6,000 new social homes. There was 1,500 local authority homes also refurbished. There was 734 adults exited homelessness. These are families that are moving out of homelessness into long-term properties. Indeed, in my own constituency, people I work with, families that I've been working with, have secured social homes, which they will have now utterly securely for the future. The social housing list has come down by a third over the last 3 years. These are really important measures that are incrementally building all the time towards achieving homes at the level that we need, both on the social side and also on the private side. But we do need a private rental sector that works. We do need landlords to stay in that market. And the effect of the eviction ban, it means that people can't use properties that they own themselves. It also doesn't stop people moving into homelessness, and we saw that the principal reason over the period actually when the eviction ban was there was actually family breakdown. Now, we have debated this in the Dáil. The legislation was very clear. We debated this last week. The Labour Party are rerunning this as after their party conference, and that's a matter for themselves. Right. But it utterly disrupts the work of government getting on with, like, for example, I'm supposed to be in Galway this morning talking to credit union managers about extending how credit unions can do mortgages for people, about how they can provide more mortgages to first-time buyers. That's what I would be doing, but I'm here in Dublin instead, not doing that work.
Ivana Bacik?
But look, may I say this? It's absolutely the responsibility of opposition to hold government to account. We do not put down this motion lightly, and indeed we put a lot of thought and a lot of preparation into it. It's over 20 years since a Labour motion of no confidence was debated in the Dáil. This is not something we took up lightly, but we have a responsibility to those who are contacting us, those renters, those families, like the young mother who contacted me in despair because she has nowhere else to go with her children next week, like the homeless workers, like the local authority officials who are desperately concerned to know where they're going to put families when the eviction ban starts to take effect from Saturday, because they have no emergency accommodation left. So this is absolutely a necessary thing to do, because we have no choice but to put down this.
Okay, Minister, let the Minister respond, Ivana.
And let me say this.
No, let the Minister respond, because it's important. It's important we have a little bit of to and fro here, so let the Minister respond.
Deputy Batchik says she's putting down the motion no confidence because of a sense of responsibility. She obviously has no intention of winning it, because if you were to win it, we were straight into an election period. You're into an election in April, you're then into the formation of a programme for government with a whole new thing, which, as we've seen, can take time, can take many, many months. So the worst possible thing you could do for providing for stability for people, to allow the government to support local authorities in buying up homes that are being sold, that landlords want to sell so that people don't go into homelessness, is to have a no confidence motion, is to have an election. It's the worst, most disruptive thing you can do.
First of all, there is no stability for those who have received notices to quit. And we know from the Residential Tenancies Board, nearly 5,000 notices to quit were issued in the third quarter of last year alone. So there are thousands of people who are currently without any stability or security. And I will say this, it is at the door of government if this motion is passed. If enough TDs vote no confidence in government, it is the fault of government for failing to deliver on housing, for presiding over what is a catastrophic failure to secure homes for people at a time when we're seeing over 11,700 people in homelessness.
Minister,
a record figure.
It's at your door. It's at your door.
Government deals with all of the matters in relation to housing week on week. We had this debate last week. The government won the debate by about 20 votes, a very comfortable margin in relation to that. There is a programme for government that has been agreed by three parties. That is a 5-year programme for government that is being worked through on every matter affecting people's lives, making sure that there's job stability, making sure that there's cost of living support.
Ivana, we're going to be talking about sequels later in the programme. This is an example of a bad sequel, this vote.
I certainly don't accept that, Shane. This is a very different vote. Last week, the government won by 15 votes. Last week, it's a very different vote. And last week, the government won by 15 because they were able to buy the support of a number of independents. No, they were able to get support from independents because they cobbled together a series of measures. Again, in the future tense, measures they say they're now going to put in place. They should have used the breathing space of the last 5 months when an eviction ban was in place to ensure that they put those measures in place. This is too little, too late.
Minister, you bought the independent vote.
That's really disrespectful. I think that's really disrespectful by Ivana Batchik to other members of the houses of the Oireachtas who are capable of voting whatever the way they want to vote, and not the way Ivana Batchik interprets they should vote. In the last number of months, in the last number of months, this notion of buying votes, people are entitled to bring forward suggestions and for those to be heard by government.
You took them lock, stock and barrel, though. That was the point.
Well, in the last period before Christmas, there has been 6,000 social homes delivered. We are working with families to local authorities to make sure that houses can be bought. Indeed, in my own constituency, I'm literally practically working house by house where notice determinations have been brought. But let's just be realistic about this. If you want to increase supply in the rental market, you don't do it by constantly demonising landlords, and you don't do it by constantly encouraging landlords.
Final word to you, Ivana. Deal with that point. Are you demonising landlords?
Again and again and again.
Nobody is demonising landlords. Indeed, I've been contacted by landlords who want us to see an extension of the eviction ban because they're recognising the very serious crisis that we face if it is lifted as it is going to be, as government have said it will be, from this Saturday. So we're appealing to independents, to those who won votes on the basis that they would look after their constituents, that they wouldn't see them exposed to homelessness. We're appealing to them to vote no confidence in government.
This is without credibility because there's no plan for delivery within this. You did.
I didn't interrupt you. Minister Mary Butler expressed concern last week after the measures were cobbled together to win the last week's vote. She expressed concern about flaws, about lack of workability in some of the measures the government are proposing. They should have done this work months ago.
We have to leave it there. Ivana Batchik, Labour leader, Minister Jennifer Carroll MacNeill, thanks to both of you for talking to Newstalk Breakfast this morning.